Rise and grind, grand rising. What's going on? What's good? Welcome to episode 2 of the Days of Blaze podcast. I'm Blaze Hunter, and today's episode is titled Fake It Till You Make It. The reason I chose this as a topic is because I lived that for a long time. I faked it until I made it. And it all stemmed from crazy insecurities. And I want to dive into that. So I appreciate you guys coming on this journey with me. Thank you for taking the time to listen to the Days of Blaze podcast. For everyone that's new, that are new listeners, the reason that I'm creating this podcast is to give you guys a more intimate engagement with me. I'm pretty transparent. I have a lot of live streams and I do a lot. So there's a lot of information out there on me, but to really give you guys an unfiltered, inside, intimate look of things that I rarely ever talk about, to really, truly give you the true experience of actually being on a journey of the actual Days of Blaze. So I want to say, when I started to fake it, it happened in the 5th grade. So I went to a school called Northmore Elementary from 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. In the beginning, my mom had me young, so in those early ages, I was living with my grandmother. Saw my mom on the weekends, and so kindergarten, 1st, 2nd grade, I was in the primary care of my grandmother, and I went to Jupiter Farms Elementary School, pretty white school, white students. I literally, in Jupiter Farms Elementary, I literally was one of 3 black kids. There was me, there was my friend Tori, and I really wish I can remember what the girl's name was. I won't even hold you. I can't remember. I wish I could though. But yeah, there were us. We were the only black kids in the school. So needless to say that a lot of us had a lot of white traits, in school. And when my mom got on her feet, she got married and took over my 3rd grade year, it switched from us living with my grandmother to me and my brother living with my mom and seeing my grandmother on the weekends. So we lived on 45th Street in West Palm Beach, Florida. And we lived in a not so great neighborhood. Like I guess at the time didn't realize that it was. It wasn't necessarily a bad neighborhood, but we were in crazy surroundings, but regardless, we were there. And the school was Northmore Elementary. And my first day at Northmore, I realized real quick the difference between a white school and a black school. I realized real quick certain things that you can do and you can't do. I effed around and found out. For example, in the white school, if someone got in trouble, something happened, there was no consequence to laughing and pointing at them. Ha ha ha, key, you just got in trouble. In the black school in Northmore, I remember this kid like it was yesterday. His name was Zandy. Zandy was the second most scariest person in the school. And he had gotten in trouble for whatever reason. And I'm pointing, laughing, ha ha, kiki. And everybody, like one by one, people was like, oh, you shouldn't have did that. I hate to be you. This, that, and the other. Oh, you done messed up. I'm like, what the heck y'all talk about? Zandy walked by, shoulder bumped me, and was like, wait till after school. I was like, oh no. I found out real quick that the same rules don't apply. So going into 5th grade, I survived 3rd and 4th grade. Going into 5th grade, there was a new number one at the school, a new big bad. His name was Charlie. Everyone was scared of Charlie. Charlie was that guy in school for whatever reason. It's elementary school people, but everybody feared Charlie. So in the certain class that I was in, for the first half of the here you got your first half of school before Christmas break. I was in this certain class. I was with a lot of my friends, me and a bunch of the kids that, we were all hanging together, cool, loved it. But in the second half of the year, they switched assigned seats for, to get with other people. And they sat me across from Charlie's younger sister. Now, she was over the top mean. Over the top. Reason being, I would love to believe that obviously she knew her brother was the big bad, and she knew nobody would disrespect her, obviously, because nobody wanted to be on Charlie's bad side. So I always tried to do my absolute best not to tick her off. Well, let's just say one day I finally ticked her off. I don't know what it was. I can't remember what it was. I just know I caught her attention and she had caught her attitude. Man, oh man, was I terrified for my life. So this is where the faking it started, because I was like, how am I going to get out of this situation? The teacher is not going to. I tried to bring it to my teacher. Oh, I'm just afraid, and and she was on some, nothing's going to happen. You're just being fearful. And I was like, I need to get out of the situation to where I am not sitting across from this girl, because she is going to kill me or get me killed. That's how I literally felt. So I faked blurry vision. When it was time to read, like I really couldn't see, that my eyes were so bad and it was blurry, all to the point to where they were saying they sent me home and told my mom that I needed glasses. So I missed a few days of school. To me, it was heaven, because I was nowhere near that girl, because I was terrified. Didn't tell my mom this, didn't tell no one this, but this was the case. So I lied about having blurred vision. She took me to the place to get the eye test. And while we were there, you know how you're looking at all right, read this letter. And they showed, how they got the real big letters and it goes all the way down to the very tiny. Now, no cap, I was able to see from top to bottom clear as day, but I faked like I couldn't. So I'm like, clearly across the thing is like B5, 7, 9. I'm like B 8. And so I faked like I couldn't see, which I could. And my mom had to spend this money on glasses, 2 pairs of glasses. So by the time I end up getting back to school, I was still at that desk, but she had forgotten about me, forgot about whatever reason. She was annoyed with me, and I did whatever it was I had to do to stay off her radar. But that awakened something in me. That showed me I could lie my way out of trouble. And that was a terrible road that I went down. I didn't understand it at the time, but it started the liar in me. It started me knowing that I could lie to get out of trouble, to get out of big trouble, versus finding a better solution. and it carried on. So moving forward, lying to get out of things was my go-to. So it wasn't lying about little things. So it wasn't like, if it was something that, you know, that can get out of it, that wasn't like, I wasn't just lying about every single damn thing. Every single day I'm lying about something. But there were plenty of times throughout growing up in life, going through from 5th grade on, to where I used this tactic, because to me, I didn't see it as like being a liar and lying and telling a fib. I saw it as a strategy to get out of scary situations. So it took its course, you know. In high school, well, I'll go to middle school first. So in middle school, when I got to middle school, I went to Roosevelt Middle. So Roosevelt Middle was a pretty mixed school, dominantly black, but it was a magnet school, so we had our fair share of white kids, Spanish kids, Asian kids, whatever. But going to the school, it was just a new breed. And of course, obviously, we're in this era now where people are starting to develop, starting to get crushes, things of that nature. And so there was was a lot of, those different type of things. So I also started to notice that, there were cool kids, there were, people, there were the group of bullies, there were the jocks, So with all of these things, I had to find a way to not get put into the being bullied category. So there were just many situations where if something happened, I'd lie to avoid those situations. So there was a situation where I lied about being a part of this Mighty Morphin Power Rangers were a thing, back then. It was popular back then. And Saturday morning cartoons and that, that type of stuff. So in my class of a few people that are my classmates or whatever, a lot of them believed that I had not an internship, but I had some in with Channel Fox 29, and I was creating my own show because I was drawing at the time. Like I told you in the first episode of the podcast, how I was doing comic books and things of that nature. So I was drawing, and I lied and was like, I was coming up with this show called Jaguars. It's going to be the next big thing, and they're just they're going over whatever to find this and find that. And of course people thought that was cool, and that automatically and the reason I did it, because I got on the bad side of, so I think of somebody in PE, these kids who were playing basketball, and all I know is I threw the ball, hit somebody in the face, and that person was obviously a good player. Long story short, I was the reason, him being hurt was the reason their team didn't win. So a lot of them were upset with me, and so I had done that because they had started picking me, make jokes. I didn't have like name brand shoes or things of that nature. So like I had Skechers, and then I was getting picked at about the Skechers, or stuff like that. So, but since I saw that I was going in that trajectory of getting ready to be bullied, I made up the story, and it stopped. People started to believe that of me, and oh man, that's so cool, and now people wanted to be my friend, and it got me out of the situation. So let's move on to high school. In high school now it's really the point where, like, I'm this real skinny kid. I know I didn't have a cool bone in my body. I hate to use the word nerd, but for sake of conversation, I fit that category. Nerd, I fit that category. I fit that person that I wasn't going around cussing, and I wasn't, doing like a lot of the other kids, the popular kids, wasn't having sex. A lot of kids are having sex. It was a virgin. You know, there was a lot of pressure. And I remember a lot of the kids started getting in the conversation about all the different things that they did and the people that they were with, yada, yada, yada. And, you know, spread the lie that I went to some party, and I can't even remember the lie, honestly, but they believed that Blaze, this party guy, and, you know, it was a lie. It was a go-to. So to me, second nature, it got natural. Sadly, in my freshman year, my grandmother passed, and I missed a significant time. Then went back to school, and during that time, I got into a situation where I won't say the dean's name, but there's a dean at the school, and he was one of those deans that he was just, I like to say he was on beat. This man was on beat. And what I mean by that is, like, he wasn't by the book. Right is right, wrong is wrong. So right when I first found out about my grandma passing, I had I remember exactly where I was on the campus. Of my freshman year, I went to Forest Hill High School. I was talking to either a teacher or a counselor. I was just talking to them, letting them know that I'm going to miss some days. You know, my grandma just passed, da 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 da. And there's this kid, this white boy. The summer before, I was a summer camp counselor, and he had got me fired. So every time I'd seen him in school, obviously we were, you know, dirty looks toward each other. It was that type of vibe. I ain't want nothing to do with him because he got me fired. So while I was talking to the teacher or the teacher or the counselor, whoever it was, and I was telling him about this, he was on the other side, because the way that they had there going from the gym to the school campus, there was like a big fence and wall separating going north and going south, you know. So if you were on the north side, you would have to be able to teleport through the fence if you wanted to get to the other side. As either that or run all the way to the end and go around. So it was a pretty long walk. While I'm talking to the teacher on the north side, he's on the south side, and he was like, "Oh, what's wrong? Did your goofy ass grandma die?" And I lost my mind. I snapped. I wanted to rip through the freaking fence. This dude needed to get the business. It was at that point on site, I am going to kill you. But couldn't get a hold of him, whatever. So I told that story to go back to the dean that I was telling you about. So after I'm back in school, getting caught up with grades and stuff, I was at lunch. White boy, I was talking to said dean, talking to him about whatever. White boy passed by me, and I can't remember what he said, but he said something along. It was a racist. All I know is nigga was involved. He said it, and the dean looked at me and was like, and then I kind of gave him the story of what he said about my grandma, and the dean was like, "All right, go handle that." In paraphrasing here, go handle that. But when I say stop, you stop and you take off. All right? I'm like, say less. Paraphrasing, because say less wasn't a term back then, but y'all rock with me. So tapped him on the shoulder. White boy turned around, yaga, served him a good 3-piece and a biscuit. And then he was like, "All right, please stop." Got up, one last stomp to the chest, kept walking. Everybody crowded around, got away for the most part. End up getting called out of a class about a situation and had to go home. Now, this is a story that when my mom listens to this, she's gonna find out for the first time. But I knew that getting the call about this situation, about being home, getting sent home, getting suspended by the fight, whatever, I was gonna get in dumb trouble. My mama laid the smack down for way less, so I knew what time it was. So because I knew the dean looked out, the dean had made a call and said whatever about me with pink eye or whatever it was. And like, I literally rubbed my eye for like, I don't know, I felt like 30 minutes to an hour straight, rubbed it to where that thing was just dumb red and whatever, and lied and said I was getting sent home for pink eye, which really I was suspended, but the dean made the call. So obviously my mama believed it. I was sent home. They was giving me whatever medicine and stuff, which I needed none of it. But yeah, for like 2 days straight, when I was in my room or whatever, rubbing my eye to make sure that thing stayed the color. All because I was afraid of the punishment and the beatdown that I would get for being suspended. So, yeah. So I just told you guys 20 minutes worth of me in that position. So that was all like stuff during school. And then high school, I mean, senior, or I would say junior year, my junior year, the end of my junior year is when I finally discovered music. I started to get into music, and I was like still not known as the cool kid. I was kind of popular for two reasons in school. One, my name was Blaze, obviously, and two, because my comic books, I was popular amongst people. I had this strange dynamic where I was popular with the jocks and also popular with the like nerdy kids. I was like, everybody loved me, but I still wasn't necessarily cool. Once I started doing music, and that summertime when I knew I was coming back in my senior year, this is when Fake It Till You Make It took a crazy turn, because then I started lying, not just to get out of situations, but to create narrative. So I created the Blaze Hunter persona, the Y2B, Y2 Blaze, Blaze Hunter, the rapper persona. I created that. And I'm talking about, people thought throughout the summer that I went through all these different types of parties, and I had these lies so down pat that I even believed them. That's how potent these lies were. And I became that cool kid finally. I became somebody. I'm walking down the hallway, Blaze, Blaze. My little brother TJ was a freshman at that time, so it was cool to me to see that, my younger brother coming, we in school together, and he get to see I'm the popular kid on campus. You know what I'm saying? It was like, it was a dope feeling. So just kept the lies coming, I would I remember my boys, Jimmy T and JT, they were on the I can't remember what it was called, but they were runners. And runners were like the kids that they would send, the office would use to send to call other people out of class or whatever. So every day at lunch, I was always at all three lunches every single day. I would be at my own lunch, obviously, because one thing that I was able to do was I go to this one door, and I knew how to beat. I'll beat on the table, and everybody would just freestyle and rap or whatever. So I was always the designated dude to beat because I was just good at it. And I would say that was at three lunches. So I had first lunch, I would go down, and then whatever class I had during second lunch, John will come through. Yo, the office need Blaze. Everybody like, ooh, like I'm in trouble. I walk down, I walk out, and he's like, all right, man, they beating this rapper and this rapper. So I'm at lunch, beating. You know what I'm saying? Third lunch, same thing. So I created this persona of somebody that I was not. I was not a confident person. I was not the person who had all these parties. I was not the person that was freaking experienced with girls. At that point, I had not had a kiss. I had one in middle school. I did have one. In my final the final week of middle school, I started dating this girl, And obviously we didn't see each other no more after summer break and then going to high school. But I had me a good week romance with him. And then on the very last day of school, we did share a little smooch, a little peck, pop, but I never made out with nobody at this point. So I had no experience, none of that. So it was just lies. It was just lies, but I didn't feel like I was lying because I faked it so good that I believed it. I faked it so good that I believed it. And then that carried on to after high school. Now that high school is done and I knew I was trying to make it in this music career, same thing. I had to get good. I got good at just fabricating stuff to the point that I just believed it. And after a while, I wised up. I got around some good friends and good people and, good guidance to where I stopped. I stopped doing it and I wised up. But what it ended up doing was, I would say the positive, the silver lining in it, because let me get this straight. First off, let me say this. There's no way, shape, or form should I have done that. That is not the solution. I would encourage anyone to do the exact opposite of what I did. You don't have to lie to get out of things. Don't take that route. There are always better routes than to lie. Faking it till you make it, it isn't the way to go. And but if I had to say there was a positive out of me with the Blaze persona, I end up becoming that. It did give me a natural confidence that I didn't have naturally because I was so used to playing that part. It kind of became a part of me, and that boldness and that being confident really helped me in a lot of positive areas in my life. So God can work with anything. I'll give him the credit to, through those type of situations I was in, he was there for me and made sure that I took the good out of certain situations. But it hurt me in the long run, I would say, because once you get to a place, especially at a good place with God, and you get to a good place of really understanding the levels of what you're doing, the faking you're doing, you realize that you're a fake person. You're fake, you're a hypocrite, and the world may not know it, but you have to own it. You have to look at yourself in the mirror. So I had to look at myself in the mirror, and there were nights and days where I just felt so disgusted with myself knowing these things. And somebody would, and it'd always be after I'm giving somebody good advice or I inspired someone, and they'll tell me, "Oh, you're such a good person," and da 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 da. And when they're saying all of these things, deep inside, I'm smiling, but deep inside, I'm dying. I'm like, man, if you only knew the piece of trash I am. That's how I felt. I was like, if you only knew the piece of trash that I really am. And that's just pretty much where I was at. So I end up turning all of that around, thank God. And it was one of the things that inspired me to start doing more for others than just myself. I started this entertainment company called Syxx ENT. I was born May 6th, so that was my favorite number. I spelled it SYXXENT. And pretty much what I had done was I had gotten a bunch of the artists, people that I knew that did music, and I created my own mini label. It felt like I had the means to had my own little studio and different places that had studios that I had access to. So I would make the beats, I would record the artists, I was getting us shows, and I started my own little thing. But my whole goal was to let me help out other people, because I was in this weird space to where I kind of had a lot of access to things, and I knew what it was like to have to be in a place to fake it till you made it. So I wanted others to feel like they made it, and I think ultimately that helped me It helped me with managing these different artists, starting the careers of these different artists, and so on and so forth. So the man I am today with, Ninth Wonder Music and Entertainment, with Blaze It Up Radio, with Signature Series Network, with all these different things that I'm doing and working and mentoring with different people and things of that nature. It really was great because of what I went to and realizing that, being a fake, being a hypocrite, and being those things, I was able to turn around. I was able to admit that that's what I was. I was at rock bottom. I fixed it, made my way out of it, and it gave me the strength to be able to help others not go down that road, and I thank God that he showed me. He actually put certain people in my life that were going to call me out. I got to give a shout out before we finish up. My boy Manny. Manny, I remember Manny started living with me. I broke up with my girlfriend, and shortly after, he became my roommate. He produced beats and did graphics or whatever, and we did a lot of work together. So one of the things that I was doing before, in between the stretch, I won't say a few weeks between the breakup and him, there was a few months, but during those few months, I was getting rent paid and all of this stuff because I was manipulating and lying and playing all these girls. So what I would do was, the goal and the key was to not sleep with them. No matter what, make up an excuse not to sleep with them. So I had these girls with all these different stories. I'm lying my behind off about all this money I had, and in every little way that I can make the excuse, I'm making it. Like I was in a 1-bedroom apartment, living in freaking Blue Heron in Congress. The neighborhood was called Wedgewood. So they were like, "Oh, so why are you living here in the 1-bedroom since you have all this money?" I was like, "Well, my mom's, they're going through a certain situation, and all my money right now going to them to get them out of the debt that they're in. I'm just, money ain't the thing to me. So I'm just sitting here in this 1-bedroom, that's what it's about. Blah 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 blah, lying." I'm saying different things like that. "Oh my God, Blaze, you're so amazing." And then when it gets to the point where we're about to sleep with each other, I'll be like, I'll get the damn near teary eyed. All is, I'm still hurting over my ex and I just need time, And the more and more they wanted to sleep with me and connect, it just made them want me more and anticipate it more, which made them under my spell more. And it was bad. Looking back at it, it's horrible. But at the time, I was getting things paid. When rent came up, I was like, I can't talk to you for like 2 weeks. I got to really dig in. "Oh, what's going on? I don't understand." Well, I told you about my mom's situation. I threw a whole bunch of money that way and didn't even pay attention to this rent over here. So, and I got some money that's on hold. So until I get that, $700, whatever paid, and they'll offer the money to me. And I'm like, "No, you don't got to do that." But they offer it again. And I'm like, "You know what? Bet. Appreciate it. I'll take it. I thank you for that. I really love you for this." Or, whatever. And I was just playing off their emotions. So for like 3-4 months straight, rent, phone bill, electricity bills paid off of these different girls, and then it was Manny that called me out. He saw it happen live and in action one time and was like, what if one of those girls is your sister? Somebody did that to your sister. How would you feel? And man, that rocked my world. So right then and there, I stopped, cut all the girls off, and went, and it was people like him that started making me see the errors of my ways. And I thank God for putting those people in my path. So yeah, that's my story of faking it until I made it. So thank you guys for listening and going through that path. I hope you were encouraged in some way to know what not to do. Definitely, if you are somebody that's currently going through this situation, really learn from it. Learn from everything I just said and look yourself in the mirror. And then when you do, just soak it in. There's nothing wrong with admitting and realizing that you're a piece of crap. The thing is, and the beautiful thing is, you don't have to stay a piece of crap. That's the beauty of it. Once you realize what it is and you're at rock bottom, you climb your way to the top and change those ways. So that's the best part about forgiveness. God will forgive you. So y'all know how I like to do. I'm going to end these in a prayer. So Father God, I thank you so much for giving us the time of day to come to you. Forgive us for all of our sins, ones that we know about and ones we don't know about, so this can come to you extremely clean, Lord. And just want to say thank you. Everyone that listened, bless them, God. Encourage them to know that they do not have to fake it at all. They don't have to fake it till they make it. They already made it, just simply by being a child of you. So bless them, Lord. Encourage them, give them energy, give them peace of mind. And thank you for allowing me to have a platform to speak with people. Let this reach a lot of people and encourage a lot of people and have them draw closer to you for those core qualities. In your mighty name, amen. I appreciate you guys, man. This has been another episode of Days of Blaze podcast. Thank you so much. Continue to listen. You can listen exclusively on Muse IQ or anywhere else that you listen to podcasts, whether you listen on Spotify, Apple, wherever you listen to podcasts at. Go and support. I thank you guys so much. You are the best. If you listen on Muse IQ, go ahead and hit your boy with that validation. I thank you so much. I love y'all, man. I'm out. Until next time, this is the Days of Blaze podcast. Yeah.